I mean, when you look at people, I mean, we talk about Kendra Horn, you know, how she campaigned. Did you know, when you go to Freedom Works, which you all know, and you look at the scorecard, did you know that Tlaib and Omar and Ocasio-Cortez have a more conservative, now it's low, more higher conservative score than Kendra Horn? Now think about that for a second.
Yeah, that needs to get
Kendra Horn has a 5 points, one of the lowest. I don't think you can go lower than zero. You know, Presley and all of them are higher than Horn. And she's been made out to be some kind of conservative over there and conservative principles and representing Oklahoma.
We're going to go ahead and bring Congressman Hern up. If you guys haven't seen him on TV recently, he and Mark Wayne Mullen bullied their way downstairs and single-handedly stormed into the... No.
Somehow I'm thinking it looked a little different on Omaha Beach than what Mark Wayne and I did. I'm just guessing. No, hey, I just want to stop by. Steve, I really appreciate your texting last night. He and I were texting about 10 o'clock last night when guys that look like us, probably everybody think we're asleep, but you know, we were trying to save America. But afterwards, I got an email from a friend of mine over from OK, Oklahoma. And it's from the Wagner County Democratic Party. And I'm going to read you just a little bit of the first and then the end, and then Robert will get that to everybody and get it to Ron, she can get it to everybody. It says, it's regarding the congressional chaos from CD1 Representative Kevin Hern. The Wagner County Democratic Party is formally condemning the irresponsible actions of Congressman Kevin Hern. Oklahoma deserves more than a partisan bully. The political shenanigans of reckless partisan political figures should not be overlooked. And if you go to the very last statement here, it's, while the people of Wagner County work hard every day to meet their basic needs, Congressman Hern is trying to advance only himself. So, you know, it's interesting, you know, so what happened is on Monday we did this teletown hall, and I told everybody that were listening, we had thousands of people on there, that, you know, we'd gotten emails said, why aren't you doing something? And quite honestly, this probably would have happened last week had it not been for Elijah Cummings passing away. And out of respect for a colleague, you know, most people felt like it was, you know, kind of play it down just a little bit. Well, on Monday night when I did this teletown hall, on Tuesday, our team, both in district and in D.C., took tons of calls from Democrats calling me a liar. There is no way the Democrats would keep a sitting member of Congress out of these hearings that were not classified. That's in fact what's going on every single day. It wasn't Republicans calling. The Republicans believed it. They knew, that's the one thing they knew wasn't fake news. So we called down there and said, no, you know, there's only these certain committees. So I said, you know, I don't know who I'm talking to. So I went down there. I told the delegation, so listen, I'm not trying to embarrass the delegation of the state, but I'm going to go down there. I'm taking my comms director with me, and we're going to go find out. And so Mark Wayne said, hey, I'll go. And so he and I went down there, and we walked up to the lady at the desk, and she was a staffer for the Democrat Party, and had a couple police officers sitting behind the desk, and Mark Wayne and I was standing there, and I asked the guy the question. I said, we're here. And he said, are you on one of the committees? I said, one of the 6 committees? And she goes, no, one of the 3 committees. I said, well, originally it was 6, right? And she goes, yes, but now it's 3. I said, what are the 3? She said, Foreign Affairs, Intel, and Oversight. I said, no, I'm not. I said, well, you can't go in. Who made that rule? She goes, well, the majority. I said, the majority meaning Adam Schiff? She goes, yes. I said, the majority of 1. And I said, so has anything been deemed classified? No. Well, why are you meeting in the SCIF for? I mean, that's really why you'd meet in there, because you don't want any sensitive information getting out, but you're saying none of it's classified. Well, sir, we're just sorry you can't go in. I looked at Mark Wayne. As I looked at Mark Wayne, literally standing this close to me, like this, was Omar standing right there, getting ready to go in. So here's the interesting thing. The interesting thing is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, Presley, and Tlaib being the one who says we're going to impeach the president, you know, with some other adjectives in there, a long time ago. All 4 of them sit on these 3 committees, one of these 3 committees. So they're in there all the time. People who have knowingly said from day one they wanted to impeach the president if they ever had the opportunity to do so. So that's the bias you've had. And you know, we've heard a lot about kangaroo courts, so I looked it up. If you go look at it, the picture, if you look at Wikipedia, the picture in the background is a Nazi swastika in the background, because this is where people were deemed guilty before the process ever started, and it was just to backfill so that public sentiment would support their narrative. That's exactly what we got going on right now. Adam Schiff is doing all this stuff, and yes, there are Republicans on the committee, but none of their cross examinations or anything are being released to the press. I've heard from, Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows personally, Matt Gaetz, from Lee Zeldin, that John Ratcliffe, who is a former U.S. attorney out of Texas, Bottom, Texas, did a phenomenal job of debunking most all of Bill Taylor's conversation, which now is, it's every witness is like, that's the most important witness ever. And did a fantastic job. They released a one-pager on Taylor, how his opening statement was so damning to the president, but they didn't release any of the cross-examination information. Now, mind you, these people are in there. If you go to Volker, I wanted to see Volker's testimony. 10 hours, 238 pages. And they wouldn't let us in. But the point being, 238 pages in 10 hours. So when you get a one-page synopsis from Adam Schiff, do you think it's going to be favorable to the president? No. And so all we're asking is we're not asking to see classified information. That's the narrative that the Democrats are talking about. And, they said we're a bunch of middle-aged white guys. I'm going to tell you something. With the exception of Castro's brother, the twin brother that's not running for president, sitting at the one end of the table, and an African-American lady who I have no idea, it's a member of Congress, don't know her name. That's everybody else in there looked just like me. Exactly like me. And by the way, as I was joking when I came up here about storming, we didn't storm. Now, there were some people that were chanting, let us in. I give you credit. Not myself, not Mark Wayne. But there were, we were joking once we got in there. All we really needed to do was get in there and let Louis Gohmert go, because he was roasting them. He had, a great prosecuting attorney. He was going after him on a lot of stuff because he had built, he'd pent up issues here. And he was spot on. They had no response, zero response to what he was saying. But it is crazy. I was on Pat this morning, Pat Campbell's show. A lot of people calling in. People are very, very frustrated with this. And I will tell you, people are equally frustrated with the Republicans that we haven't done anything with Hillary Clinton, who knowingly broke the law. Right. When was given a subpoena, destroyed 30,000 plus emails. I had with me a copy of the treaty. I've got it out in the car. A copy of the treaty between the United States and Ukraine that was done in 1999 under then William Jefferson Clinton. Why? Because of the incredible amount of cronyism in Ukraine. It's either ranked number 1 or 2 at any given time as the most corrupt country in Europe. And so the president then, Clinton, who was having his own problems at the time, just came out of an impeachment trial himself. He did this, and it lays out distinctly, our collaboration with one another. Central authorities will be defined by each president. You know who our central authority was? Is described? Is our Attorney General. So when you go to the call transcript, what did President Trump do? He asked President Zelensky that he would get his folks with Bill Barr. There's nothing in that call transcript that violates the treaty. In fact, it follows the treaty just very perfectly along the way. So listen, here's the deal. We wouldn't even be having this inquiry if the call transcript was that damning. Right. They know it's not at all. And Mark Wayne did a great job on Cuomo Friday saying, or I don't know if it was Friday, I guess it was this week. I was supposed to be on last Friday, but I was on a plane. Where's the crime? There is no crime. None. So we can't give up. I don't know if you heard last night, and I haven't seen it personally, but I heard that Steny Hoyer now is saying that, and now the narrative has been put out there, because this wasn't before our taking down of the skiff. But now they're saying they're going to open it up. That wasn't the narrative, I tell you, on Wednesday. It was not the narrative. Yeah, and I had a reporter stop. Yeah, I had a right, exactly. I had a reporter stop me. He says, "What do you hope to see?" I said, "The truth." He said, "Well, don't you believe?" I said, "Don't even start. Don't I believe Adam Schiff?" And he said, "What do you think the issue is?" I said, "Listen, I'm very disappointed." There were 100 cameras in there. I said, "I'm very disappointed in you all. If this were Republicans, you would be storming." This is before we all went in. I said, "You would be going crazy. You'd be going crazy and demanding, if it's not classified, you should have a camera in there. You all are trying to hoodwink the American people. You think that we are stupid as an American. Take my congressional hat off. You think we are so stupid that we can't even understand what we're seeing." He said, "Well, there's a situation." This is a reporter saying, "Well, don't you think that the president will skew the facts?" I said, "Skew the facts? What facts? Nobody's seeing the facts right now." I said, so now you've got both Democrat and Republican coming out and giving you talking points, and you guys are writing stories like you were thinking you were firsthand knowledge. You're no different than the whistleblower. You have no firsthand knowledge. And you're all sitting out here in a circle talking about stuff you know nothing about. And so I said, what happened to the media demanding the truth? And I said, there's not an American out there. And I said, I'll even say there's nobody in the world that says, when you say something bad about me, that I want to defend myself. The president of the United States of America, the freest country in the world, cannot even defend himself right now. That's true. Cannot defend himself. So that's what the storming of the beaches was on Wednesday.
Now, don't you think that maybe next week it's going to get just a little bit crazier because the AG has now moved from an investigation into criminal. Now it's a criminal.
Well, I think what you're seeing here, I tell people, I said it's really about four things. It's really about undoing the 2016 election because all of us are idiots and that we elected the wrong president. It's about 2020 because they don't want anything. Al Green said it best. African-American congressman from Houston said it best. If we don't impeach this president, he's going to win. That's right. That's what he told everybody. He's right. If we don't impeach him, he's going to win. The third thing is it's about the next Supreme Court justice. I mean, you know, none of us wish anything bad on anybody regardless of party, but pancreatic cancer is a death sentence. It's just a matter of time. And when you're 86, 87, 88 years old, it's tough. It's tough enough when you're 60 or 50. But there's going to be another Supreme Court justice, maybe even before the election. And then there possibly could be another one even afterwards with Stephen Breyer. He's 82 right now.
Well, and Clarence Thomas
has
said he wants to retire.
So I think you're going to see a lot of things happen. And friends, that will change our country for the next 50 years. That, you know, we keep, and people say, well, you want conservative judges. And I said, no, I don't care about the conservative liberal. I want people who actually read the Constitution and read the Federalist Papers, what was the original intent, and just apply it. Yep. Don't legislate from the bench. And that's all they're doing. They're not even doing their job. And so when you look at this process, and then finally, I will tell you this was absolute certainty. I was laughing last night. I was watching A.B. Stoddard from Real Clear Politics say, well, Nancy Pelosi's, she's standing up. And this was on Fox. I was so disappointed in this statement. Nancy Pelosi's doing this because she doesn't care about whether she wins, the majority, keeps the majority. I'm thinking, you are an idiot.
That's right.
You are an idiot.
Nothing means more to her than that.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, I do believe she didn't want to do the impeachment. But she also knew her progressive left people, the people like Katie Hill, her closest friend, as she's declared, are the ones who are telling her, we've got to impeach this president. We cannot have this guy who hates us in the office another cycle. And she pushed off. I mean, that was the first thing Cortez did was went sent in the office. She protested. We, invaded. So she did this first thing to get Nancy Pelosi to start the impeachment in January. And Nancy Pelosi knows this is a death sentence for people like Kendra Horn. And this whole narrative that Joe Biden's going to be the presidential candidate is a joke. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you look at people, we talk about Kendra Horn, how she campaigned. Did you know, when you go to Freedom Works, which you all know, and you look at the scorecard, did you know that Tlaib and Omar and Ocasio-Cortez have a more conservative, now it's low, higher conservative score than Kendra Horn? Now think about that for a second.
Yeah, that needs to get
Kendra Horn has a 5 points, one of the lowest. I don't think you can go lower than zero. Presley and all of them are higher than Horn. And she's been made out to be some kind of conservative over there and conservative principles and representing Oklahoma. But the point being with that is this being pulled so far left, poor Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, Sleepy Creepy Joe, as Hannity says, all these, he hasn't got a prayer. He's just sucking up oxygen right now. And these folks are going to pass him by. And so I go back to the letter. We have got to be engaged. Got to be engaged. And I thought Jesse Waters said it best last night or yesterday on the 5. The reason we're in this right now today is the Republicans' fault.
That's right.
If we'd have come out and supported candidates, we lost 31 seats. 31 seats that Donald Trump won. He was working his butt off. We weren't. Oklahoma City is ranked number 1 or 2 of that as the example in the country. He was working his butt off. We weren't. So when the president calls out lazy Republicans close to being scum of the earth, it might be a little harsh, but I think it's about, are we going to get engaged?
I'd like to argue the other side of that. I think that the reason that we lost a lot of seats also has to do with the fact that Republicans don't act like Republicans. They don't legislate like Republicans. And that's my message to you and to any other congressman in office, is that if we give you back the House, you damn sure better get some stuff done.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So, we got to get engaged, all of us, not just here, but across the country. I mean, this isn't, Oklahoma City isn't the worst. There's a couple worse than that. But we've got to win back 18 of the 31 and also keep the seats that we're losing. We're going to lose one like Will Hurd's down in Texas. That's going to be Democrat. But we've got to push hard. I mean, you guys know people, especially through the Freedom Works Network and others, Heritage Action and others, reach out to folks, help them get engaged. I mean, the president has a huge hammer. The president, I'll tell you what, this whole impeachment thing, if it's done nothing else, it has, and we heard this, what was the guy from Heritage Action now that's now working for?
Chip Roy?
Well, his chief of staff name.
Right, Wade.
What was his name?
His name's Wade,
yeah.
But I can't think of his last name. I want to say Phillips, but that's
I won't
right.
I want to say Wilson, but it's not that either. But when he came and spoke, he said President Trump went into, it's probably what Kevin Stitt experienced. He went in as a business person, went to Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan and said, hey, boys, you need to get this stuff done. And they looked back and said, President, that's not how this place works. I will tell you this impeachment thing, the president now appreciates how important the House of Representatives is to moving the agenda forward. He told us 3 weeks ago in Baltimore, he said, I commit to you that myself and Vice President Pence will hit 40 districts across the country to raise the awareness of getting Republicans back to the majority of the House of Representatives. He saw this with Dan Bishop in North Carolina 9. Dan Bishop, Freedom Caucus guy, great guy. He was down 10 points to a guy who had been perennial runner. He was down 10 points. The president went in the day before the election, Dan Bishop won by 3. 13-point swing in one day. Most of that was done through the president helping him do a lot of media. There were over 30,000 people that came to the event, and the president using a lot of his digital media to help this out. The president now has seen, and the members of the House have seen how impactful the president can be in these districts. He knows that he needs to, get this majority, even if it's by 1, to change this direction. And
same thing happened in Louisiana.
Yeah.
That's not being reported. I don't know if anybody noticed it, but Louisiana was pretty much a Republican sweep in their election a couple of weeks ago. John Bel Edwards, who is the governor of Louisiana, didn't get to just walk in. He's in a runoff now. And the Dr. Abrams, who was that made that phenomenal commercial about genders being male and female, and he's a doctor, and he immediately got behind the Republican candidate. And that's what we got to do. We got to quit eating each other alive. If our guy doesn't win, we get behind him. I was not a Kevin Hern supporter initially, but I also gave Kevin my word that if my guy, which of course was Nathan Dahm, didn't get in, he had my support. It's not that I didn't like Kevin, but we learned to work together afterwards, and that's how we're able to make a difference. All this infighting isn't doing us any good at all.
I will tell you this, and I'll leave this, and Rhonda's exactly right. I saw firsthand, as you all know, I told during my campaign I would vote for Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan didn't support me. I told Kevin McCarthy, who did support me, I told Kevin, I said, Kevin, I'm going to tell you something. Appreciate you helping me get here, but I'm not voting for you for speaker. Now, I will tell you, that was an interesting conversation. But I told him, I called him personally and told him. And I said, but here's what you can count. When I give you my word, it's my word. And I supported Jim. And Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan, you guys know Jim came down here for me. Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan are some of my best friends. Kevin McCarthy is a great friend. I think one thing that's lacking in Washington, D.C. is people being honest with one another. But what I saw also, which was to me was tremendously impressive, the first person that went up and congratulated Kevin McCarthy for winning the minority leader was Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan has said time and time again, we've got to be cohesive. We've got to move this country forward. We've got a president who will work with us. He's a president who's not afraid of standing up to the stupidity of the world. We've got to win this re-election. We've got to get back in the majority. We've got to keep the Senate, and we can get a lot of stuff done in the next 2 to 4 years. So with that,
we're going to hold you to it.
Yeah. No, I know it's no.
Because no. Listen, coming from during the Obama era, you know, it was we don't have the House, we don't have the Senate, so we gave you the House, and then we gave you the Senate.
Well, you didn't give it to me.
Well, I get it, and then we gave them the presidency, and nothing got done.
Yeah.
And Paul Ryan was part of that problem, John Boehner before him. So if I had anything that I could say to Kevin McCarthy is you better get it done. Because, this is going to be your last hurrah.
Yeah, and I don't know that Kevin McCarthy will be the speaker. I don't know that. I mean, there's 2 or 3 good candidates. We'll see. It's going to be very hard to win back the majority. I mean, I'll be if things have got to really line up. Timing is everything up there. I've already seen that in the year. November 13th will be a year that I've been there. The timing of events, world events lining up right, has so much of impact on our politics up there. And but I just appreciate your perseverance to continue coming out, meeting. Even when things are, even when you win and you don't win, you guys are always meeting. But we got to really reinvigorate. We'll get this letter out to you. We're sending it out to all the groups. We know the Democrats are, they're going to run somebody. There's no question. And what we don't want to have happen here is we don't have the 5th district happen here.
Right.
And there's billions of dollars they're trying to win back some of these districts, and they love winning in Oklahoma.
Because we're the reddest state in the union, or we were the reddest state. We were. So, we're pushing hard. And I just wanted to say I'm sorry to break in, and Steve, I really appreciate your kind words. And, to Steve's point, and I know this is not a popular thing, but there was a point in the entire delegation that I was the only person, other than Kendra Horn, that supported banking marijuana monies. I understand the Christian values of that. I mean, I didn't vote for the bill. But I also know, as Steve lined out, I mean, I don't think it could have been a better preface to what I'm about to tell you, is that the underworld of cash is incredible. I just heard this past week from a police officer here in town that they have dispensaries now that have people around town extorting money out of them to give them protection from things like you're talking about breaking in. It's all cash. I didn't even think about that when we were doing the banking, where I was thinking about, from the banking standpoint, if the bank won't loan you money anymore, I've got a whole, van full of cash over here. I'll loan you the money to go buy the property, hire the people. Think about it. You can't even legally pay your people because they can't pay the payroll taxes. So even the people get paid in taxes. The people of Oklahoma spoke, said we want marijuana, medicinal marijuana. And across the country, if not banking marijuana was going to change it, we wouldn't have 33 states legalize medicinal marijuana at this point in time. And so we've got to get this money up. The police officers are demanding it. Prosecuting attorneys need a paper trail to know where this is going. We need to know what is happening to stop all this illicit activity before it gets started in our state. But we still like cash.
Cash is good. Cash is good.
I'm just going to say, we still like cash.
Cash is good. Cash is good. Just not a lot of it together, right?
Hey, guys, I'm going to go ahead and let everybody go. If you want to stay and visit with Steve.